That's something that has to be explained. This problem in Aquinas is generated in part by Aquinas' claim that the intellect always operates on essences. So it seems that for Aquinas, to have a concept of something, you have to know the essence of that thing. And that's requiring a lot of intellectual cognition, because it seems that, well, if having concepts requires knowing essences, then maybe we don't have any concepts, because for most things that we think about, we don't know what their essences are. We don't know what these things really are. We cannot provide a definition and so on. But I say that, well, actually Aquinas himself makes a distinction in his text. He talks about mental words and intelligible species. These two terms stand for concepts in Aquinas. And they can be understood as different mental items. Intelligible species can be understood as thought parts, mental signs, just simple tools we use to think about objects, and we can use them for thinking without knowing what the essence of a thing is. And on the other hand, mental words are these more rich concepts as conceptions. They do require the grasp of the essence of something. So if this is correct, this would make the transduction problem less challenging, at least a little, because now what's needed is a mechanism that explains the passage from sensory data to just these mental symbols, just thought parts. But still, the problem is not solved yet. My suggestion is that the problem can be solved by what Aquinas calls the cogitative power. The cogitative power can be understood as an innate mechanism of cognition that plays exactly this function. Aquinas says that the cogitative power is a sensory power, so it has access to the data provided by the external senses. At the same time, he says the cogitative power in humans is always collaborating with the intellect, so it's a very special power. He doesn't explain exactly how the cogitative power functions, but he's quite clear on what function it's supposed to play. So he says the cogitative power cognizes a substance as an individual thing of a kind. And the cogitative power has to do it somehow based on the sensory data that is received. It can do it because Aquinas would also think, well, the sensory impression, the sensory data doesn't come in randomly. The sensory qualities attack us in groupings. And on that basis, the cogitative power has an innate programming to put these sensory data in the right way. This sensory programming, I say, could be found in Aquinas' account of transcendentals. Because Aquinas makes these two kind of strange claims about intellectual cognition. One is that the essence is the proper object of the intellect. The other is that being is also a proper object of the intellect. And in my dissertation, I suggest, well, that latter claim is not a claim about concepts, it's rather a claim about how the mind functions. My suggestion is it's a being detecting mechanism. Transcendentals are really these mechanisms that allow the cogitative power to put the sensory data in the right way, and to this substance of a kind that the cogitative power detects, we then assign mental signs, concepts from the intellect. So, well, that's something I probably don't explain completely in my dissertation, but I think if that can be explained, then this would provide an interesting solution to the transduction problem. In any case, what this shows is that what Aquinas needs to make his account plausible is an explanation of these innate mechanisms. Nowhere is there a need here for innate concepts. The next question is, in what sense is this mechanism innate that Aquinas needs to posit? My suggestion in my dissertation is that whenever we talk about innateness, two questions should decide whether a given trait is innate. So first of all, you have to determine how it was acquired, and some processes will exclude certain traits from being innate. Some kind of genetic inheritance has to be involved for those traits that are innate. The second question that will determine it, that's point 5 in the handout, is why exactly do we have a given trait. And my suggestion is that maybe one way to identify innate traits is by pointing to those that are evolutionary adaptations. So the conclusion until now is that for equinus,